Hey guys, and welcome back to another Wheel to Wheel Hotlap, proudly brought to you by Hybrid Ag. I am your Hotlap host, Viper's Fang, and this week we're off to the land of the rising sun. We are at Kyoto Driving Park, Yamigawa+Miyabi in sunny Japan. The weather looks like it's going to be fine, and it's going to bring some great racing. But before we kick off our discussions about this week's race, let's hand it over to Pagani, and he's going to show us the way around this technical track. It's got a little bit in it for everybody, so it should be some good racing back in the Group 3 cars, and it should be a lot of fun. To show us the way around here, I'm going to hand it over to Pagani.
Thanks, Viper. Hey guys, Pagani here, and I'm going to take you on a hot lap through the Kyoto Driving Park Yamigawa+Miyabi layout in the Group 3s. This track involves a lot of technical parts involving some braking, turning and gearing. So come up to the first corner here, you want to be braking just as you pass the 50 board. Only applying around half throttle throughout the corner, and you want to get on the throttle once you see the last set of grandstands here. You also don't want to be dropping any more below the 140 through this corner. You can also take the cheat line that I like to call, which is the inside curve, which kind of slingshots you around just as you're seeing right now. Up on the throttle, up into 4th, into 5th, through the uphill S's, which is a pretty fun part of the track. Try to take a smooth line as possible. If you take a rough line, it kind of does ruin your momentum up the hill. Coming to the corner, you'll again, like the first corner, braking just after the 50 board, and it's very similar to the first corner. Also applying half throttle, except you're going to be on the throttle a little bit earlier and going to be going through this corner a little bit quicker. So down into 3rd, and you ought to be dropping any more below than 170. I sometimes use that lamppost on the left as an indicator for some throttle, and then you can start building up there and getting your speed back up. But if you're struggling to get the power on, you can also use the trees that I've illustrated up there as also an indication to get on the throttle as a last resort. So up through the gears, up into 4th, taking the absolute widest line possible. The curbs here are deadly, but they also do really benefit your lap time. Braking just as you pass that white line on the left side of the track. Down through the gears, sometimes 2nd, depending on what car you're in. In McLaren, it's going to be 1st. Taking a shallow line, you can upshift as you get onto the 2nd part of the track to kind of calm the car down. Come to this corner, you want to be braking just before the curb on the right finishes. Down into 1st, and you can use your center point of that last grandstand as a part to get on the throttle, and you can also use that overhanging Gran Turismo sign as an indicator of when to go up from 1st into 2nd, or from 1 gear up into the next, depending on what car you're in. Onto the outside curb, coming through the sector over there. 59.2, really abusing those curbs as you can see marked on them. Up into 5th, and again braking just before the sector line for the 3rd long left turn. Again, you're only really applying half braking input. You also don't want to be dropping any more below than 160, maybe 170 depending on what car and tyre you're on, and also getting on the throttle just as your car faces the last set of grandstands. Running the car out as wide as you possibly can, crossing the sector again for 1 minute 20, and braking just before the wall on the left finishes. Down the gears once again, down into 1st. Now I use that piece of blue tarmac going through the road as an indicator for some throttle. Once you can see that, then you can start building up some throttle. I also use that as a indicator to go up a gear once you've crossed over it. You can also use the right side of the curb as also a last resort to get on the throttle. Any later than this and you're going to be losing a lot of time. Keeping a really shallow line to maximize your final time there. Coming under the Gran Turismo banner, up the hill, on the inside curve there, and you want to be braking just as the writing on the track disappears. Down into 3rd, into 2nd, into 1st, taking a shallow line and getting on the throttle just as your car is about to pass that last grandstand on the right side of your screen there. And you can also use that last billboard on the right as an indicator for the last indication for your throttle input. up into second, into third if you cross over the sector line, a 1 minute 49.9. Down here you want to be braking just as the markings on the inside curb on the right there appear, or I sometimes refer to the fourth last billboard on the left side of the screen there. I like to use two references just in case there's a car in front of me. At least I have one other reference that I can base myself off of. Down into second, you want to be getting on the throttle just as your car passes the halfway point, as I've put the line there in the grandstand in front of you. You also don't want to be dropping any more below around 125, 130 kilometers. Taking the outside curb, getting on the power as early as possible. Down to the last corner, getting on the brakes just as you pass the left side marking on the track. Coming to the last corner, down into first gear, and you can start getting on the throttle just as your car is facing that third last billboard. That's a pretty good reference as to when you can start getting on the throttle, because if you get on the throttle really nicely here, you can set yourself up for a really nice pass coming to the first corner. Early upshift into second, just to try and dial the power down and avoid the tyre spinning. Riding up on the inside of the curb, just to avoid the car from bottoming out and spinning onto the inside. And coming across the line to set a 2 minute 18.6. So, good luck everybody, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for that, Pagani. It's great to see some of our Division 2 drivers getting in on the action with these hybrid ag hot laps. And Pagani's been on a pretty good run lately. He had a good result in the last Group 4 round, and he's going to probably continue that through the next couple of rounds. So it's going to be interesting to see him battle it out with some of the other Division 2 drivers. But let's talk about this week. Kyoto Driving Park, Yamigawa+Miyabi. It's a technical course with lots of different corners. There's some fast flowing sections, some tight twisty sections, off camber corners. Makes for some really interesting racing. There's some interesting transitions where the road goes from one track to the other track, and your car's going to get light. It's going to be really tricky, so it's going to make for some really interesting racing. We have 2 races slated for this week. We have a 6-lap sprint and a 18-lap feature race. It's going to be set in the early morning and in dawn, and the weather looks like it's going to be sunshine and rainbows in the land of the rising sun. But that's not the tricky part of this equation. The race directors have been at it again, and they have decided that the tyre allocation is going to be funky. So hard tyres are the only tyres are going to be available for the sprint race. And then in the second race, all tyres are available and all will be mandatory. That means you're going to have to stop twice. Forcing pit stops makes me happy. It's going to make interesting racing. It's going to make a lot of strategy come out to play, and it might even out the playing field a little bit in regards to some of the other cars that are having tyre wear issues. So this means that in the long run, the racing is going to be epic, and we're going to have a showdown in Japan that is going to be epic, and I'm excited for it. You guys know what to do. You know where to find it. It's 5:30. It's 7:30 for the other race. It's going to be on our Facebook. It's going to be on our YouTube. You're going to catch it, the stream live. I've been Viper's Fang, and you guys, you know what to do. Let's go get some.